This is macOS Ken.
iPhone picks up the pace in the States. Japan may be moving to bust up the App Store. And Metaversal visionary tales of tomorrow. It is Monday, the 19th of June, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Missing the forest for the trees were our friends at Apple Insider. According to their headline on a note from JP Morgan, base iPhone 14 now sells better than Pro models, 14 Plus still unpopular. There's nothing untrue about that headline, though I'd have gone with the one used by Apple 3.0. JP Morgan, Apple took 2 out of 3 U.S. mobile phone sales in April. Lots in the JP Morgan numbers, including March and April iPhone sales, have recovered from a February dip or blip when Samsung launched the Galaxy S23. iPhone's estimated share in the States climbed from 66% in March to 67% in April. In April, 67% was better than the 63% enjoyed in April of 2022 and the 64% in April of 2021. Breaking down models, iPhone 14 had the top share at 19% for the month of April. iPhone Pro Max took 18%, iPhone Pro took 15%, and iPhone 14 Plus took 7%. While that does not add up to 67%, the 14 line isn't Apple's only line out there. According to JP Morgan, iPhone 11 is central to prepaid Apple sales. Carriers like Boost Mobile and Metro PCS are offering Apple's nearly 4-year-old phone cheap or free for folks willing to port over their numbers. Apple 3.0's Philip Elmer DeWitt says that makes iPhone 11 the Cadillac of burner phones. It also stands Apple in good stead up and down the line. JP Morgan has an overweight rating on Apple shares. The firm's price target on the shares is $190. Japan appears set to force iPhone open to third-party app stores in the relatively near future. A report from Japan Times says a government panel there ended the week last week, drawing up regulations aimed at both Apple and Google. Changes expected include opening iPhone to app stores other than Apple's own, forcing both Apple and Google to allow third-party payment methods in their respective app stores, and addressing concerns around apps that come pre-installed in iOS and Android. Now, all that flies in the face of Apple's argument that limiting iPhone to its App Store and its built-in payment method are key to the security of its ecosystem and thus its users. It's an argument of which the Japanese government seems conscious. According to Japan Times, the regulations will oblige Apple and Google to allow users to download from app stores other than theirs if enough security and privacy protection measures are taken for the stores. The report says it is the government's hope that the changes will increase competition in the market for apps. Sounds like there's more work to do on a final set of regulations, but there is also time. The government aims to submit relevant legislation to next year's ordinary session of Parliament, according to the report. If you're a member of Apple's public testing program, there are 3 new operating systems with which to tinker. Mac Rumors ran a couple of pieces to end the week last week, one saying that the 3rd public betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.6 were out to testers, and another saying the same for macOS Ventura 13.5. If you're in the program, you know what to do. If you're not, but wish you were, info is available at beta.apple.com. The bigger screen on the 15-inch MacBook Air creates more space inside the machine. Surprising no one, Apple has filled that space with more battery. 9to5Mac writes up iFixit's teardown of the machine. While there is more battery and it is more powerful, the piece has Apple indicating that users can expect around the same battery life on both the 13-inch and the 15-inch MacBook Air, with the 15-inch model having a bigger and higher resolution display to power. Only one other tweak noted in the 9to5Mac piece. That involves the speaker layout. The 15-inch MacBook Air has a 6-speaker array, while the 13-inch machine only has 4, thus at least a little shuffling would be required. As for repairability, it's kinda still not. Though the machines have gotten easier to repair over the years, the piece says iFixit used a variety of different ways to describe the teardown process, ranging from miserable to maze. The firm gave the new machine a repairability score of 3 out of a possible 10. The iFixit teardown video says, could have been a 5 out of 10 had Apple made manuals and parts available. However, given the irregularity and slowness with which Apple offers such things, iFixit stuck with a low score. Apple's new transparent earbuds are almost everywhere they're going to go. Mac Rumors ran a piece late last week saying that the Beats Studio Buds Plus, the ones you can kind of see through, have hit all the countries they're going to hit, save 3. The stoppers will not be available in Brazil, Mexico, nor Taiwan until sometime in mid-August. More news in a moment, but first a word from Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit and sponsor of today's show. The summer season is underway around these parts. Time for parks, parties, pools. It's not that there's no time for cooking, but seriously, how much of this prime time do you want to spend in the kitchen? Leave that to Factor. Spending more time relaxing doesn't mean missing out on flavor nor nutrition. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back to whatever it is you want to do. Now maybe you're wondering how good heat and eat could really be. Really good. Every Factor meal I've had has been great, from the sun-dried tomato chicken on their keto menu to the al pastor shredded pork on the calorie counter. The sauces, sides, and proteins are all wonderful. With over 30 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved options every week, you are bound to find something you're gonna love. Head to factormeals.com/macOSken50 and use code macOSken50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code macOSken50 at factormeals.com/macOSken50 to get 50% off your first box. Taste what's made Factor America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Get 50% off your first box with code macOSken50 at factormeals.com/macOSken50. Big news over Facebook way. Engadget says later this year, Facebook parent Meta will lower the minimum age for a Quest 2 or Quest 3 headset from 13 years old to 10. I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything. To MetaBook's credit, the age change announcement did lean pretty heavily into the education possibilities inherent in the device, while the announcement also stressed ways the parent will be able to guard their children's privacy and security. Engadget seems to have its doubts. What Meta seems to have not mentioned at all are possible health issues caused by VR use by people so young. The report has a Duke University optometrist explaining to ZDNet that these wearables can introduce eye and neck strain that may be particularly problematic for kids with smaller bodies and developing eyes. There's also a lack of definitive research on how VR can affect depth perception and focusing. The technology isn't definitely dangerous for kids, says the piece, but it's not guaranteed to be safe either. Interesting thoughts in a piece from Apple Insider on a possible use for Apple Vision Pro: surgery. According to the report, Dr. Raphael Grossman, a general surgeon with a background in robotic surgery and the first to live stream a surgery using Google Glass, thinks the Apple Vision Pro could do a lot to help in the middle of an operation when information is key to a patient's survival. Speaking to Portland, Maine's WMTV-8, Dr. Grossman thinks having the info laid over his field of vision rather than having to turn his head to read data could be key. Outside the OR, Grossman sees other ways that Apple's headset could strengthen the connection between doctor and patient. They include having patient records just, right there, as well as having the headset handle basic tasks like taking notes. A piece from Business Insider says people inside Disney have a question that I've had since the WWDC keynote on the 5th of June. The question: who's going to make the whiz-bang stuff for Apple Vision Pro that Disney CEO Bob Iger teased and promised? Okay, teased. I've got a thing for Disney, and I got a thing for tech. Chances are you knew about that last one. So I was somewhat dismayed earlier this year when TechCrunch ran a piece saying Disney was eliminating its Metaverse division as part of a broader restructuring. Of course, Disney doesn't have to make everything Disney makes. For example, the video game Dreamlight Valley is made by Gameloft. But here's the thing. Business Insider says the innovation team that worked on Disney's Apple Vision Pro offering is being disbanded, with its founder and leader exiting the company as part of the cuts. Insider spoke to 5 current and recently exited Disney insiders about hopes and concerns regarding the Vision Pro project and the future of innovation at the company. The piece goes on to say the Product Advanced Innovation Team was founded in 2022 under David Lankford and used VR, AR, AI, and other tech to develop products and experiences. Disney's Vision Pro partnership was its latest project. Now, to be clear, the Metaverse team and the innovation team are 2 different teams. But even as its team gets busted up and its leader hits the exit, pressure is said to be on the innovation team to deliver on what Iger teased. A source with knowledge of Disney's Vision Pro work said it's still ongoing, according to the report, and that there are other teams at Disney still working on that project. Worth remembering, all Iger actually promised was Disney Plus for Apple Vision Pro on day 1. Day 1 is at least 7 months from now. Could be as many as 10. Plenty of time to deliver or reset expectations. And finally today, whether people will be able to afford Apple's headset, they certainly do seem interested. The site Upload VR says Apple's YouTube video introducing Apple Vision Pro, cleverly titled Introducing Apple Vision Pro, is now the most watched public video on Apple's YouTube channel. Views so far stand at around 51 million. That beats the previous most watched video, Introducing Apple Watch Series 8, which has just under 50 million. If you're wondering what that's about, by the way, Introducing Apple Watch Series 8 introduces Apple Watch Series 8. You're welcome. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Factor. Use code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. This show is also supported by people like you. patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Cha.